how does your multicultural like upbringing? I'm like, dude, like talking about getting my dick sucked, man.
Indians get blowjobs too.
Yeah, like the brown boys get fucking domed off. That's what I'm trying to talk about right now.
That's the representation we're looking for.
That's the representation they want. That's why you think people fuck with Nav, because he's just like, I'm in a Lambo, and then it's like, yeah, me too, motherfucker. We're both desi.
Hey those, what's up? My name is Rajit Salim. Today I am here with Abhi The Nomad. You're on tour right now, and holy fucking shit, your concert last night was mind-blowing. It was incredible.
Dude, you are too kind. I'm so glad you could make it. It was mind-blowing to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I couldn't believe, I was just talking about this earlier. I couldn't believe that all those people were there. Well, most of them were there to see me.
Yeah.
The largest headlining show we've had so far.
In New York in this tour?
No, so far.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like 600 people, which is the largest we've had headlining on a tour. We have had larger crowds opening. We have had larger crowds doing our own slots at festivals. But this was like the Abhi The Nomad show.
Yeah.
Or wait, you're brown. This is the Abhi The Nomad show. Yeah. Motherfuckers.
Let's go. And did that feel special in a different way? Like, is there a different texture to the show?
Yeah, there is. I think just my being enamored with New York kind of really gassed it up too a little bit. I just love New York so much. And honestly, I didn't think that we would sell out. Yeah. I thought it was going to get like, it was going to be like 100 off or 150 off or something. But we sold out at door, which is like at doors, which means that people walked up and just like bought tickets and shit, which is just crazy. So I really can't even still process. I'm still processing it. Dude. Yeah. And the energy was there in the room. So when I was like, my jaw dropped when I was like, and you noticed.
And what's interesting is when I'm in the crowd and I see everyone singing every lyric and they're matching your energy and the whole crew's energy. Yeah. There's some sort of synergy that's different than I'm assuming playing from like at another festival or something like that.
Totally. I mean, when you're playing at festivals, you're playing for discovery, right? Mm-hmm. Like you play right before, some other act who's like a little bit bigger than you or like has more traction. And like, maybe I can grab at least 20% of this crowd to go hit the follow button on Spotify or, Instagram or whatever. And that's your goal there. But at headlining shows, the sort of like synergy, the sort of chemistry is like a lot of those people haven't been able to see you live for a while, especially now because of COVID. Yeah. So we hadn't like really toured until this year. And so it's like a come together sort of kumbaya ass moment. Mm-hmm.
And was this your first tour ever, like a full-blown tour?
No, actually, this is the third, if I'm not mistaken, third headlining tour. Mm-hmm. I had my first one in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. It was called the American Alien Tour.
Wow.
Because
it's on brand.
Yeah, because I got a talent visa to play that. And then 2019... I dropped an album called Modern Trash. I did the Modern Trash tour. And these have all been like kind of like grassroots, like straight up, like, I do have a booking agent. I do have a manager, but they have been all self-funded out of my pocket. No label, no advance, nothing.
So what are like the lessons you got to learn through 3 tours independently?
I love this question. So everyone you tour with, you kind of become brothers. Like, even if you're like, there'll be moments where, I'll be just like yelling at the band. How could we let this happen? Just fucking freaking out. But then, we go get breakfast tomorrow.
It's just like family at that point.
What are you going to fucking do? Mm-hmm. It's like you're, yeah. And it also adds on top of this that like a lot of my band is just like my best friend in college. Mm-hmm.
And did you guys start the band in college as well, or how did that relationship
Not really.
begin?
I just kind of pulled them back in because, they all showed interest. My backup vocalist, Harrison, is actually over there off camera because he's not fucking brown. But we've known each other for a really long time. And then my DJ, we've known each other for a really long time since like 2011. And we've always like worked together. Pulled him back in. So kind of like a tight knit circle. My guitarist I've known for 5 years. The drummer's new. So yeah, tour really kind of like brings the band together a lot. And yeah, continue. What were you gonna say?
No, it was what I found like, it's incredibly special about your show. That's like for me, like as a listener through streams, Spotify, etc. It's just like, oh yeah, this is great music. It's cool. It's fun. It's funky. And then you go to the show, and I was like, whoa, this is different than streaming your music.
Yeah,
it's you're at like this intersection of like hip hop, funk, R&B, and you do it in a way that's tasteful and still deliberate and still so you. And what's interesting about that show is way groovier than I expected.
Oh hell yeah!
And like
That's what I like to hear.
the whole stage presence of not just you, but your drummer, the guitarist, the backup
Right.
vocalist, the DJ. It felt like a true ensemble with you still shining as the
Hell
lead.
yeah. Yeah, I think the key part of that is to really have these guys who are kind of like vetted with just being in front of people, you know, and being in front of crowds and stuff like that. And I can speak on behalf of my friends in the band that they have been in front of crowds, because I've been in front of crowds with them since fucking 2012, 2013. My guitarist, I know, plays in another band, so he's done that for a really long time. The drummer is like super vetted and like comes highly recommended from one of my close friends. So a lot of these people really just have a lot of experience being on stage in front of audiences where like you can't really fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, and then if you do, you have to play it off cool. There's like a lot of stuff to just like being on a stage that you don't have the experience for until you do it for years. And so these people kind of have that experience, and I obviously have been practicing and churning out that muscle for years now, exercising that muscle for years now. So I think I feel more comfortable when I'm with people up on stage who have like really been through that, the fucking hustle and tussle of getting in front of someone and just like, you know, getting in front of originally 20 or 30 people and trying to be like, this is who I am, I'm the shit, and just like fucking going for it. And then, you know, and it pays off because now it's like 600 people and we get to, you know,
Share it together, essentially.
share it together. Yeah.
What was the first time you were in front of a crowd?
I'm laughing because I have video evidence of the first time I was in front of a crowd, and it's not pretty. I don't look this beautiful as I do right now. I was like, had to have been like 14 or 15 or something.
Oh, wow, so you've been in it for a minute.
Yeah, I've been making music since I was like, I think 13. The first time I got on stage was like 14 or 15, and it was a talent quest at our, it's like a talent show at like the middle school or whatever. And I did a cover of Fort Minor's Remember the Name.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
That
Guess what I won?
You won?
Yeah, I won second place. Okay.
Gotcha.
There was this chick with an acoustic guitar who won first place. But you know, she didn't end up playing sold out show at the Bowery Ballroom.
Yeah. So, in your face. Acoustic guitarist. And also, at the time, Fort Minor was absolutely crushing it. That was like right at the time.
Yeah, dude. Peak Fort Minor, like post Linkin Park era.
Were you at that age? Were you listening to a lot of, you know, like Linkin Park, Fort Minor, that whole like rock band group, Green Day, stuff like that? Or were you...
I was. I was listening to them for a long time, and like I was in this phase where I was really looking for a cross section of like hip hop and rock, and like I'd already exhausted all of Rage Against the Machine, so I was really settling for whatever was left. And I know Fort Minor kind of dipped their toes in that water a little bit, and I know Mike Shinoda is obviously associated with Linkin Park. So I just like that intersectionality of these different cultures in hip hop, pretty much, because Mike is Japanese, right? Wow. So I always found that interesting as someone who was into hip hop, as an Indian person, to find other people of, you know, like various ethnic qualities to be in hip hop. I always found that interesting.
Yeah.
So I tried to seek it out, along with my love and respect for, you know, all the classics in hip hop and everything. I tried to seek it out and tried to, you know, really absorb that whenever I could. So Fort Minor was like a big thing for me.
Yeah. And where was your middle school?
Beijing.
Beijing.
China.
So you're singing Fort Minor, getting into music, hip hop, and rock in Beijing, China? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know, dude. The CD stores in Beijing, they're like all bootleg.
Mm-hmm.
There's like no real like music store except for like maybe Blockbuster or like some of the big box stores that my dad didn't want to pay that to like get me music CDs and stuff. So we'd go to like the bootleg music store and I'd be like, oh, I want to listen to Kanye West or whatever. And Kanye at the time had released, unbeknownst to my knowledge, like multiple mixtapes on the internet for free, but they were selling them as like bootleg CDs at the store. So I would like buy like the Freshman Adjustment 3 or whatever, like Kanye was on, like the old ass mixtapes, and like get all that shit and like the every rapper's like mixtape that was like back in like, the G Unit mixtapes, like Lloyd Bank mixtapes and like 50 Cent mixtapes, stuff like that. And it was all because someone at school had showed me like I think it was like Inda Club.
Wow. And
then I tried downloading a lot of like, the G Unit era hip hop onto my little USB stick MP3 player back in the day through LimeWire.
Yep.
But then I started unintentionally downloading copious amounts of porn onto the family computer. So we had to swap.
And methods. Did you get caught?
Huh?
Did you get caught?
No, but this one time my mom did find big boobies in the Google search history. Really? And I was like, yeah, that was like a fucking virus for sure.
You not have siblings to blame it on?
Huh?
Do you have siblings to blame it on?
No. My little sibling at the time was like maybe like 7 or some shit.
Gotcha. Not into big boobies yet, but like
no, not into big boobies.
There.
Yeah, not.
So you're like truly a third culture person then, right?
Yes.
Because you're from Beijing, but you've said multiple times that you've moved every 3 to 4 years of your life.
Yeah. So I honestly wouldn't even classify myself to be from anywhere. I was born in Chennai. I do have an Indian passport legally. I am an Indian. Yeah, I still have an Indian passport. But I did spend most of my life in Beijing and Hong Kong. So I like to associate with that. That makes me feel comfortable. Like Chinatown in American cities makes me feel comfortable because I feel really comfortable around Asian people. Brown, East Asian, all of that. Feel comfortable around it.
And so how does a kid from Chennai end up in Beijing and Hong Kong?
My dad works for the IFS, the Indian Foreign Service. So he's works for the Indian Embassy, pretty much.
And so now you're in Beijing, you're getting into hip-hop because of Inda Club.
Yeah, Inda Club, I think, was like one of the ones that like piqued my curiosity, yeah.
And so from that point, is that when you started to create music or make music or just do covers?
No, it was like a year before I started to even think about doing that. But I had one of those, I don't know if you were, how old are you now?
23.
23? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you would remember. There was, so MacBook Pros, what they have in the MacBooks now. Yep. Before there were MacBooks, there was this thing called iBooks. And that was like the original Apple laptop. It was the second generation Apple laptop. And it was all white. Like now they're all silver. It was all white and it was a lot thicker. And at our school, we would have to use them for computer class. So I could rent them out from the computer lab. So I used to rent out the iBook G4 to go do homework at home. Wow. And it had GarageBand pre-installed on it. So I'd just like go like Google and download like 50 Cent acapellas and like try to put beats behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you started off making the beats first.
Yeah, and like playing, and like we had like a guitar at home. I honestly forget why we had that.
So was your family not inherently musical? That's something that you came into?
My mom does sing, or did sing, Carnatic music for a while. So there was always that. I always, to be honest, now I'm like, oh yeah, it's beautiful. And it's like but as a kid, I was like, shut up, Mom. It's not fucking rap or whatever.
So is it? It sounds cool.
I was a little shit.
Is it being in Beijing, right? Because we know a lot of like diaspora in the United States, Canada. They have a lot of those moments where they're not really willing to accept their background, whether it be in pop culture. Did that reflect the same way in Beijing?
It did, because I went to like an American school, so all my friends were like, even if they weren't American, they were very Western. Like even Australian kids, I would consider that's like part of the Western world. right? Like any countries that the primary population is like Caucasian or, derived from the, original British colony, I would say it's like Western, right? So a lot of my friends were Western. So I felt very unliked in my own skin, sort of, which, it sounds like really sappy or whatever. I'm over it. But at the time, it hurt. And so I tried to not be brown as much as I could. So I was like, fuck yeah, I fucking love Simple Plan, or whatever. And I tried to be cool. And
how'd you come around?
It's a natural cycle, isn't it? Yeah. Like you hear that so much. I heard Curtis talk about that. And it's a very common cycle, even if you're not in America, around other Western cultures. I think I didn't come around till very recently.
Really?
Very, very recently. This had to have been honestly, like 2019.
Wow.
I feel like is when I started coming around to this is I just have to kind of know more and feel more comfortable. Just being I'm brown and that's okay. And just trying to deal with that.
When I'm assuming being a musician too, there's these pressures to be a certain way.
There is. That's more it's that's also kind of an annoying thing because really what it is when it comes down to what skin color you are or where you're from or any of that stuff and what it has to do with your music, really it should be something that's understood through, just naturally the music itself.
It can't be forced.
It can't be forced, which it is. A lot. I'm not going to name any names, but it is.
It is.
And I think it's gimmicky and kind of, it takes away from people who are really trying to give an authentic sense of self.
Absolutely. And I think, especially with diaspora musicians, right? It's hearing from other people, you should lean in. When in reality, it's music is a playground. And if it's a part of your background, if you grew up listening to Carnatic and you actually study and trained it, and you incorporate it, that's all up to you. But that's when it's truly genuine. And
that's when it's really Sid Sriram. I don't know if you've heard. Yeah. Great pop Carnatic crossover musician. Has a lot of those melodies, the harmonic minors. He's hitting semitones that you wouldn't hear in Western music. But it's sounds like he always wanted it to be in there.
Yeah.
As opposed to being oh, let me sample a tabla and put a trap beat over it or whatever. I don't know. That's something a, Universal would think is a good idea for me.
And it'll be it'll hit with all the people who think it's exotic. And it's it's not like that.
No, it's not like that. Yeah. And it sounds fucking whack most of the time.
And I think what you did, I know you did this for me, is being a young American kid looking for music that was really good, but just as a byproduct happened to represent me, right?
Right. And that's what it is, right? Because being brown is not it's not that deep, really.
Yeah.
It's more deep to each personal experience is very deep, but that's for you to experience and you to sort of reflect on.
Yeah.
But being brown itself for a lot of brown kids in America is it's not represented in a lot of music, and it's not because they don't want to, they don't want to hear their lives being compacted into some sort of product or packaging. And when it is, it's so obvious and so off the mark.
Yeah.
The brown experience in America is you can't even say, those words don't even mean much these days because you're painting with such a wide brush.
Absolutely.
I think about literally you can go from Manhattan to Williamsburg and live a different life. And imagine all the brown people across America. They're living in different states and different cities and stuff.
Yeah.
You cannot fucking compile that into one. You wouldn't do that with white people, or you wouldn't even do that with black people. You wouldn't do that with, even Chinese people or Vietnamese people. All their experiences are so different. So I don't think it has to be compacted and packaged in the way that I feel the industry thinks is the only way to reach out to those demographics.
Absolutely. I think at the core what it is the music really, does it speak to people?
That's what it is, dude. It's not that deep. It's does this shit bang? And if not, then why are you putting it out?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And then I think when it parlays into being brown, right? For me as a fan, it's like, oh, this is awesome. Now I have this and I don't have to look at those gimmicky people you speak about. And I'm like, oh my God. Those are the reasons why like we're like, we don't want to talk about it or we push it away.
Yeah.
But I think we're seeing now this next generation of artists, I think
totally,
that are caring with the art first and just making everyone else proud.
Totally. There's this kid, Rohan. He goes by Rojo. He's a producer.
Yeah.
He's worked with like Monte. Yeah, you've heard of him. And he's also an animator, so he's like kind of like a man of many hats. I've worked with him before. He did the cover art for the deluxe version of my
I did not know that.
Album. Yeah, he's a great guy, really easy to work with, and a fucking professional. And I did not know he was brown.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes by Rojo. So, I hit him up or blah, blah, blah. And then I found out it's obviously, I was like, duh, it's Rohan.
And then it's just a bonus right there. It's like, oh, fire. Now
like,
I got
hell
that
yeah,
too.
Fuck yeah.
When did you leave Beijing? How old were you when you were that age?
I left Beijing, I don't even remember. But I was like 4 years in Beijing, and then I did a 4 years in Hong Kong. Then I went back to Beijing for 4 years.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like, there was like a break in the middle in Hong Kong.
And so you're talking about having still an Indian passport. How does that affect you being a musician who lives in the United States, travels in the United States, and works in the United States?
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Because I have to fucking pull out my green card when we cross the Canadian border to go play shows in Canada, which is nice now because I have a green card. So I'm like, oh, here you go. It's like a fast pass if you're not.
Yeah.
But it was a pain in the ass for a while. I actually I applied for a work visa back in 2016, I think. And it got denied because the work visa system, basically a lottery. Only 33.33% of people get in.
Wow.
And they denied me. So I just like left to France for a year.
Wow. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
It was crazy. It was, I don't know why I just said crazy. It was actually just extremely depressing. Because I was just like by there by myself.
So what would have been like an amazing experience in another country? It didn't have the same effect as traveling there because it's like, I'm making music over here.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like out of my, comfortable living situation with like friends and people I knew and stuff. And then here I am, a stranger in a random land and literally by myself. Like no one accompanied me. There was no, I knew like survival French at that point. Like I was like kind of like mildly like conversational in French. So I kind of could get around, but I couldn't hold a long conversation until a year of studying French there. So there's like barely any friends, barely anything. Yeah, it sucked. And I put all that pain and that depression into the album Marbled.
Wow.
Which is what was created over there over the span of an entire year. It ended up dropping by the time I came back to the US.
Wow. And so was that your way of kind of reconciling with that experience?
Yeah, I think so. And, I don't fault France for that. I think, had my situation been a little different, I would have enjoyed living there. But it was just a really sour time. But I managed to kind of squeeze something a little sweet out of it. Arguably, still like, the like one of the albums that people pay tickets to come see on tour.
Wow! And so when you get back from France and you have that album come out, what was that process like? Starting that tour and that process.
That was insane. I still hadn't seen like a fan, so to speak, like a stranger who's found me on the internet.
You're still like an internet citizen at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. I was still an internet musician. I still hadn't like met a fan in like real life or whatever. Wow. And I played my first show in America after that France stint in Austin, Texas, and I just like booked. I don't even know how I put it together, but I got like a venue to like put together an event and they billed me and I went and played this show and about like 35 people showed up. This was like 2017.
And where was this again?
Austin, Texas.
Gotcha.
It was at like some random bar, which is closed now because of COVID. About 35 people showed up.
Wow.
And about 5 of them were my fans. That was like the craziest thing.
Was that like profound? And I'm like, whoa, this actually has reached someone?
Yeah. And I think about, and that's just insane. At the time, it was just great. At the time, it was what last night felt like.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was a milestone. I'd never seen a played a show and seen a fucking random fan.
Yeah. Because 5 to 6 is the same as 5 to 600 when you just start, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And then we did one more show like 2 months down the line in Austin again. And this time there were 75 people.
Yeah.
And about 50% of the crowd knew who I was. So that first show was kind of like, it fueled the flames a little bit. And I kept dropping music and like being active on social media, like doing all that shit. And then, and then I was like, holy shit. And these people are fans and they paid tickets to come see me. And like, yeah, it was crazy.
You mentioned once that your family's agnostic. What was it like growing up in a non-religious household?
It was a little different from like literally everyone I knew. I felt like I was like kept out of like some big secret. God and all that. And I went and asked my dad what God was.
Really?
And he said it's a belief that people have that there's something higher than humans that dictates, life and the way it goes. And then, he showed me everything. He didn't push me into stuff. He didn't push me away from stuff. And basically left the choice up to me. Mm-hmm. And I still haven't answered the question. So,
and in a way, are you kind of glad that he left that up to you? And
totally. I mean, I don't, at this point, the way my dad is like a fucking facts guy.
Yeah.
Like that is like, if I'm like, when I was like, I'm a musician, he's like, how much money have you made? And I'm like, okay, I'm not a musician. Mm-hmm. And so he's like really just like a rationale person. So that's helped me a lot having that, in the house where there's like, for us, there was no faith for him to be like, to blame stuff on a higher power or anything like that. Our house was logic, ration, and science. So like, if you didn't fucking figure your shit out, it's your fault. So that's kind of like, that always like lit a fire under my ass. It's like stems from a lot of, and my dad is like, I can never fucking keep up with that guy. He's got like 3 master's degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, published author. He's met with the prime minister and the president because he's the first person to ever translate Tamil text, Mandarin text into Tamil.
Wow.
In the world.
That is insane.
I know.
And so how do you, growing up, right, your dad is diplomat, translating languages, and you want to become a musician. When that first began, was that rocky for your relationship?
No.
What was that like?
I don't think so. I think they actually pushed me to be more proactive about it than I would have expected. Mm-hmm. So there's a part of my life that we skipped over, which was high school. In high school, I lived in the Fiji island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really random.
Jesus.
It's not as fancy as it sounds. It's actually a very impoverished country. And 40% of the population is Indian.
What?
Yeah. Bet people don't fucking know that. Fucking Fiji water made by brown people, dude.
We export everything.
Yeah, man. That's actually their only export out of Fiji.
Really?
Kind of crazy. Like one of very few exports out of Fiji is the water.
Like we're on an island. I mean, what's around us?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. They fucking made money out of that shit.
So what was that like?
It was just weird. That was one of those places that I lived where I was just like, I don't even like know. It's so far removed from the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Like it's part of that oceanic region, right? Yeah. So like New Zealand, Fiji, and Australia are kind of grouped together a lot of the time because they're all like Polynesian countries. But Fiji specifically has a 40% Indian population, which is fucking bizarre. So when I was going to high school in the Fiji Islands, there's a local radio station. It's like the biggest. It's pretty much like the Hot 97 of all of Fiji. Yeah. So in high school, everyone by that time knew that I was like trying to fucking be a rapper or whatever, and most people thought it was cringe because it kind of was. And I was like making tracks at home, blah 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 blah, and I just like would burn CDs of my music back when that was like a fucking thing, and they had a contest at the radio station. And I was like, oh, this contest is so stupid. I'm not going to do this because the radio always plays pop. And I'm about that real, like, conscious hip-hop shit. Because I was dumb and stupid. And then my dad was like, I'm going to be really upset if you don't go submit your music.
Wow.
So I was like, fuck. So he drove me there. and he took me there, and I submitted my CD, and I fucking won. And they started throwing my music into rotation.
Wow.
And then they would just literally throw random shit I had in like rotation. Like I would just go there sometimes after school, and like I became friends with like the show hosts and everything. And I would just like give them my CDs, and they'd be like, "Yeah, this is a banger." And they would just like play it on like the fucking national radio station.
And so you're the cringy rapper in high school. After that gets on the radio station, how does your high school?
Then it's not so
change?
cringy.
Were you like, did you like get that reception at school to like, oh, I heard you on the radio, dude? Like
a little bit, but it's like it's not like it's obviously not like you know it's it's Fiji, and I think like a lot of the kids were like aware that there was like a little bit of you know, big fish in a small pond syndrome over there, right? It's not really, there's really no like arts industry over there. So, but it did boost my ego, which was necessary at the time, I think.
Yeah, and as an artist, like you need those moments to be like, oh, I can keep doing this.
Yeah, I can keep doing this pretty much.
And so, since your dad pushed you to do that, were there other moments you shared with your dad along, you know, like your musical journey that you find like profound or special?
Honestly, we don't really like reflect on the profound too much. He will send me like WhatsApp messages and be like, I'm really proud, you know, to see this. This is great. And it'll be like every 6 months or something. And I don't fault him for that. I like that, you know? Yeah. I like my dad to be like not very openly emotional.
Yeah.
I think that would freak me out, dude.
I agree. Like
I don't fuck with that.
I don't fuck with that either. Because when my dad like says something like a little too nice, I'm like, what
so what's wrong? Yeah, what's coming?
What's wrong? What's coming?
That's what it is, right?
It's like keeping it strictly business, and you know, in some families, like maybe that's not good, but for like I think it's just like it's like that good job is like wow, okay, good, I'm doing good, keep it going.
Yeah,
like, that's all I need.
Classic Indian dad syndrome, which I love and respect to this day. It might cause like mental stability issues like later in life, but for now, it's like very fucking chill. Yeah. And the only 2 times I've seen him cry. My uncle's funeral and Halle Berry accepting the like an Oscar.
Wow. And you know, that's the most desi uncle thing to do. It's like
I know. I was like, you don't even fuck with Halle Berry like that. You can't even pronounce her name right. Okay, you've seen 2 of her movies. She's also in Catwoman, which is like the worst thing ever made. She deserves it. But anyways, he was crying doing her Oscar speech because she was, you know, deservedly one of the first black women to win an Oscar award. Yeah. For that specific award or whatever. And I think it was like a very deserved movie or whatever. Yeah. But her speech moved my Indian father so much. Wow. That he started fucking tearing up and crying.
And you're just sitting there like, what?
I was like blown out of my mind. I was like, this is fucking insane.
Awesome. And so
he didn't even fucking twitch when I graduated. Like this motherfucker's fucking bawling his eyes out at Halle Berry.
Because now you're on all these countries, jumping around, making music, having smaller wins gradually.
Right.
But there's one huge influence on your music that's stated pretty often is like video games, pop culture, like internet culture. Where did that begin?
Because I was a fucking loser. For like forever. And I think I cemented the loser part of it when I got enough money to like fund my own like video game addiction. Wow. So, like, yeah, the PS5, I bought that with rap money, baby.
Top 3 games?
Top 3 games of all time?
Yeah.
God of War 2018 or 2016. Doom 2016. Gotcha. Oh, I think the first Last of Us makes that cut.
Yeah, that's incredible.
The first Last of Us definitely makes that cut.
And there's this one song I think that reminded me of that off of this new album, Abhi vs. Universe. I think we can go ahead and play it. It's called Extra Life.
I haven't heard this literally since it came out.
Need a refresher. You don't play it on the tour?
Huh? No, we haven't been playing it.
But this is how you open the album as well.
I know. I'm just like, I don't know if the world is ready to handle my falsetto. You know, your heads might explode.
And but the hook in it is what kind of draws back into it. Was it inspired by video games?
Fucking, there's a white dude over there sitting on the couch. He helped write the hook.
Really?
Yeah, but we were in the I think the verse was like a an old verse that I had written to a different beat, and it was actually a rap, like this first verse. And I kind of just reformatted it with that like melody. And it had like a little like video game thing in it. And then we kind of picked that up and put it into this. And then I wrote the second verse while I was there. It was all done in one studio session.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what was like the main, just like, was this vibing out in the studio, or was there like kind of inspiration behind outside of that?
For some reason, we just clicked with the guy who produced this. His name's Sweater Beats, and he's just such a G and such a nice guy. And I was trying to channel like having another chance or whatever, but like literally at life. And my closest experience to that is when I had to have been like 16 or 17. I was with one of my best friends in the Fiji Islands. Wow. And we were crossing the road right outside my house to the gas station to go get I wanted a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
But we jaywalked. So we started jaywalking, and a cab came flying at like 40 kilometers per hour and fucking side-checked me on the thigh. I went flying 20 feet in the air, landed on the ground. All the traffic stopped, except for this one semi-truck, which was slowing down and barreling down. My glasses had fallen off my face. I turn around while I'm like barely conscious and like look, and the truck rolls over and cracks and breaks my glasses.
Jesus.
And there's like an old Fijian lady that like wakes me up. She's like, "You are so lucky. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you." And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Wow. You literally flew 20 feet up in the air.
Yeah, the doctor was like, there was an 85% chance that you could have broken like almost every bone in your body, but somehow like you're just like, you know.
And
you would have thought that would have made me fucking religious too.
Yeah, right?
You know? And I was like, nah, physics.
No, you physics. No.
Artists, please excuse the interruption. I want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, Symphony. They use AI and automation to put your entire marketing workflow in one place. Symphony integrates with every social media platform, saving you time on tedious setups. All you do is upload your assets, set a budget, pick a target audience, and they take care of the rest. Plus, you can create pre-save campaigns on Symphony that collect the information from your fans, so you can start reaching them directly. And all of this is summed up on a dashboard that graphs your fan base across all platforms, so you spend less time gathering data and more time growing as an artist. They've been trusted by the marketing teams of SZA, Future, and 88 Rising. And right now, Symphony offers these services for free, but they also have a pro plan. And with promo code DOST, you can get a month of pro for free. Back to Abhi the Nomad.
That was your extra life moment.
Yeah, I tried to channel that energy or the way I felt after it.
And was that an active active channeling, or was that something you kind of reflected on as you made it?
Definitely active.
Wow.
You know, definitely active. Trying to channel, because I tried to think about like, when was the last time I thought about like, wow, I almost died. And it was definitely that.
Wow.
When it was really just like, you know, slim chance that I flew in the air a weird way and didn't land in the path of that semi-truck fucking
and not
barreling down and not die is like that specific scenario.
And so what does your process look like generally for making music? Is there a specific one? Is it spontaneous?
It's honestly just fucking super random. It's like just whatever the fuck you want. Honestly, sometimes I start off with guitar. Sometimes I'll just start off with a drum pattern, but it's always the music first. Even if people send me beats and I start writing to it, it's always like picking the right beat. It's never like lyrics. And if I do have like, you know, if I do start with lyrics, it's usually partially lyrics that I've written already. But I never go into a song. I very rarely go into a song where I'm like, I'm going to write about this. Only after a few moments does that click what I'm actually even fucking writing about, right? So like with Extra Life, that was the thing. It's like, we just thought it'd be cool to say, I'm needing extra life. I'm not ready to die, right? That's like a great like video game reference. And I was like, okay, so I can write about death at the start of this album, which is, you know, maybe a little gloomy.
Yeah.
But the writing process is really just random, man.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of that song specifically too, it's like, you know, those like songs that sound happy but are incredibly like, oh, it's like this is a serious topic.
That's my favorite thing to do is fucking get groovy and funky about like suicide or something. Like, come on, guys, dance. I want to kill myself. Like, I think people love that. I think that's what people like. People like Me No Evil. It's a very like pathetically depressing song about like alcoholism and like the normalization of like alcoholism. Shout out to these beers.
Yes, sir.
But that's, you know, kind of my vibe. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like dramatic sounding music. Like, I'm not super into just like, you know, these like crazy pop love songs that are just like really orchestral and like cinematic and stuff like that. I don't like listening to that stuff.
Yeah. You like to feel upbeat, but still like have a tailoring and taking attention to lyricism, which is something you do very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What was it like developing that skill for you?
Really hard. I think it's a lot of it people, you know, people in my DMs will always ask me, like up and coming musicians, always ask me like, how do you get like the verbiage or like the palette or like the taste for like what word to put where, right? And I always tell them it's like, it's not something that you train like consciously. It's more so just like, what are you listening to right now?
Yeah.
Right. And this is no shade to any of the examples I use, but if your favorite artist is G-Eazy, you're not going to get like much of like a depth pool as far as like your verbiage goes.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like that sort of music is great for other stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for that sort of like depth in your terminology and your diction, right?
Yeah.
Go deeper and go find someone who's known for terminology and diction.
Yeah.
Right. And naturally, you know, people like Lupe Fiasco and like rappers like that is what I, you know, kind of glide towards.
Yeah. And speaking of Lupe, you wrote a high school essay about him?
Yes. And I received it. How do you know this? When did I say this?
My research.
Damn. Okay. Sean Evans.
So you said you wrote like a very passionate essay about how good of a lyricist he is.
I literally compared him to Shakespeare directly.
Wow. And how did that end up?
Badly for me. The person who was grading the essay, I think, was very taken aback and offended by that. Which
Really?
Nowadays, it's like, that tweet would get like fucking 20,000 likes or some shit.
Yeah.
You know? I could make a TikTok about it and like, you know, put those thoughts together and make that point kind of like come across a lot more clearly. But I think at that time, you know, hip hop was still kind of a joke to people.
Yeah.
Even if it was like one of the most popular genres, it wasn't the genre. Now hip hop is like, if you don't make hip hop, then you're not making pop music.
Yeah. This was late 2000s, early 2010s, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. And I received a C+. Wow.
And did you like have a chat with her about it after? Like, yo, like...
No, it was the International Baccalaureate program. So you don't actually get to meet anyone or know anyone, and they don't get to know you. The people who grade your stuff, everyone who grades your final essays in the International Baccalaureate program, which is a high school program pretty much for like, it's supposed to be like super smart, intellectually challenging. It's just like fucking normal or whatever. And they send these essays out to like these outside graders. So I don't even know remotely the name of the person who graded my essay.
Oh, wow.
But I presume it was someone older who was like, preposterous. How could you compare this rapper to fucking Shakespeare or whatever?
So when you get that C+, you look at it, like, this person just has no taste. You're like, damn.
That's what I thought at the time, and I still think that.
Good.
I still hold to that point. I think it's obnoxious to hold things of the past in such a ridiculously high regard that no one can even stand up to it and like make a point to it. Like everything else is moot for you. Is like such a weird place to be. And you see that in hip hop now too.
Yeah.
You know, you see that in hip hop all the time, man. And brown people come up to me and like do this as well, where they're like, dude, you're so much better than Nav. It's like, dude, fucking relax, man. Like, there's different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely.
Nav is fucking winning. Like, why would you ever hit on the man? Exactly.
And like we were saying earlier, it's like, you make music the way it speaks to you. And if you're a brown person,
it speaks to him.
Exactly. And if you're a brown person, you're getting these W's. We all get to share these together.
Yeah.
Right. And so whether it be in trap music, whether it be in hip hop, whether it be in indie alternative, like I think that's what's special because I think those strokes of people you're talking about that grew up in different parts of this country, it's like, wow, there is a brown kid who's making great rap. There's a brown kid who's making great rock music. And it's just like, and for any other brown kid who maybe grew up in a rural area who needed to see that, or someone who needed to see hip hop, now you finally have it. And for me, that's a W.
It's a W, dude. Nav is a W.
Big W.
Big W.
Shout out Nav.
Shout out to Nav.
First brown boy to get it popping.
Yeah, first brown. Factually wrong, actually. Shout out to Heems.
Yes.
Heems is the first brown boy to get it popping.
Yes, all respect too.
Before him, actually, it was Jay Sean.
That is also true.
That is actually the first brown. Now I'm thinking of someone else too. I think the list is a little longer than I expected.
There are many OGs, but it's because the era of the internet wasn't as big.
Right.
And I think you were one of the first brown artists in the era of the internet that really took advantage of it.
Yeah, I really, really exploited that shit as much as I could. And they exploited me too. Was like Indian American rapper. First off, not true. I'm not Indian American. I'm literally just Indian. It's like Indian American rapper, strikes a note with his new single or whatever. And the whole article, it was promoting Me No Evil. We had hired PR for my album Modern Trash, and the single came out called Me No Evil. And the whole article was about my upbringing. And we were running press on this fucking song. And I was like, can you guys fucking talk about the song for 1 second, maybe?
Yeah.
Y'all are you're scrubs.
You're milkers.
Yeah, you're fucking little titty milkers. Okay? And you've lost a titty, you've lost a nipple. You don't even know what it's about anymore. You're fucking... All right, well, done with that. So yeah, they exploited me. It was a mutual exploitation.
What's that like? Because again, you were mid 2010s dropping a lot of music. And at that time, the representation was a huge thing. So people would exploit that.
Right.
As an artist who's just making music for everybody, what was that challenge like?
It was just kind of annoying, dude. Yeah. It was just like, well, what's the angle on this song? It's like, dude, not everything is a fucking, think piece. Like, what's the meaning behind your song BTFL, which is just like, in that song, I literally say like something about like a girl giving me head and like something about it being clean, like Anthony Fantano's bald head or some shit like that. I forget what the line even is, but something in reference to like Anthony Fantano and like getting a blowjob. And these people are asking me for a fucking hook or like a slogan for like an article.
Oh man. And
they're like, well, how does your multicultural like upbringing? I'm like, dude, like, I'm talking about getting my dick sucked, man.
Indians get blowjobs too.
Yeah, like the brown boys get fucking domed off. That's what I'm trying to talk about right now. Just fucking say it. Brown boys get domed off.
That's the representation we're looking for.
That's the representation they want. That's why you think people fuck with Nav, because he's just like, like, I'm in a Lambo. And then it's like, yeah, me too, motherfucker. We're both desi.
That being said, with all these media platforms, now media is so accessible to the artist. So now you're going crazy on TikTok, which you said you've hated before, but as of recently, you've been going ham.
But I like who doesn't like attention?
Yeah.
The attention is great. The negative attention sometimes is not as great, but sometimes it's actually really funny. The racial hate on TikTok, top tier, dude. And
you're just like engagement.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, this is factually not accurate racial hate, and it's like really doing something to me. Yeah, sometimes.
And I've seen it happen a few times. Where you post about it, and you like will like reply to someone's like message to TikTok. You're like, what the fuck? Like,
my favorite thing to do, really, I stopped getting mad at it, and then what I started doing is Google imaging motivational images of like people doing meditation on like mountain hills or like whatever the fuck, or like goats on like a mountain or something, and it's like a sunset. It's like a beautiful picture, and I just put racist TikTok comments like over it.
No way.
It's like my favorite thing to do.
Is it? Right. Do you have one that's notable in your head, like that you remember a moment?
Yeah, someone called me Kendrick Kapoor.
And that right here, right here on the screen. There's a tweet.
It was great, dude. It's great. Those ones are like so because they won't even like the video. They'll just type Kendrick Kapoor press send and then like go home and like beat their wife or whatever. Like whatever their scenario, like they're really just trying to get their shit out, you know, and just they're like in a Call of Duty lobby and on TikTok. There's like hop on there's like N-word and then just like go home and like yell at their kids or whatever.
And those are
crazy. It's a wild west out there, dude. Even on Curtis's TikTok, there's some fucking crazy motherfuckers on there, dude.
Of course.
Holy shit.
Is it when people are that creative? Is it hard to be mad? Is it like, damn, that was kind of a good one?
A little
like,
bit. That's why I do the compilation of all the racial comments, and then you know, obviously, like a lot of like acquaintances who are like, you know, white people that are like worried about, you know, my perception of white people are like. Come to me, you know, message me back when I posted on Instagram. They're like, I am so sorry you are dealing with this right now. And that is the funniest part of the whole situation is the...
How does that make you feel? Are you just like...
I just think it's funny because I'm like, you don't have to feel this way. It's okay. I've already processed this. Like, I used to get fucking, you know, people used to beat the shit out of me because of my skin color. This is light work.
You're
they're like, oh my God, that's awful. And I'm like, yeah, like... Hello? Like, have you read a history book? I don't know.
Sympathy is their best form of solidarity sometimes.
It is. It can be. And, you know, it's very sweet. I think it's endearing, honestly. It's a little endearing, but...
It's cute. You know?
It's cute. It is cute. It's like, you don't have to, you know, worry about that. If you're my friend and you're, you know, white, you don't have to worry about the racial hate.
Yeah.
It's light work, especially online.
Mm-hmm. You're talking like Harrison, right? Being... with you for so long and being
he sucks, dude.
Part of being part of the brown community. Like you're saying, he's got a brown pass. Like, what is your what's your how do you just hand him out? Like, what's your criterion?
You know what it is? It's people that step into it's people that I think could step into my mother's house and immediately take off their shoes without being told to do so.
Wow,
I think he would do that.
That's hard. That's hard.
It's pretty hard, right? That's like a hard thing in like a brown household. It's like damn.
And like not having your mind someone like when you walk in first and you turn around, you're like, yo, take, and they're already off. You're like, oh my gosh. And then
mind blowing.
And then they start eating with their hands. Like, no, I'm not gonna use the fork. I got you. I'll use my hands. Like, I'm like
damn, dude.
You know about
this dude's really about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the eating with the hands thing, I think, is like that's one thing where, you know, I've even had people very close to me be like, that's actually gross. Like, don't you wipe your ass or whatever? I'm like, no, not really. I like wipe with, in India, like specifically, people, left you hand. Know this, right? Yeah. Left hand, right? Left hand ass wipe, right hand eating, right? Yeah. That's where you do it. So when we were growing up, you know, it's like, get your fucking left hand off the table, right? You would put your left hand down and you would eat up here, drink, you know, eat.
Yeah.
And then this is your ass hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it was for. And you had the, what's it called?
In Bangla, we call it bodna.
Bodna?
Yeah.
There's a different word in Hindi for it. I forget what it's called.
It's like, and they're always usually like flower pots.
Yeah, too, flower pots, yeah. And but it's like it's an analog bidet.
Yeah.
Right? The analog bidet, the OG bidet.
Damn.
They always come up with a way to fucking steal our shit and call it something else.
Yeah, make it sound
like,
fancy.
Actually, it's really eco-friendly to eat on banana leaves. I'm like, wonder where you got that from.
Yeah, wonder. And like on these like funny advertisements and like hired by some like sort of crew that makes it look very like funky and original and
where it's like looks like a fucking Target commercial.
Yeah.
What's that fucking pooper stool that they came up with? That's like very.
What's
it called?
I know this. It's stepper pooper. No. It's squatty potty. Shout out Harrison.
Squatty potty, dude. You know what a squatty potty in India is called? A fucking toilet, dude. That's what it is, dude. Because you're fucking squat and take a shit into a hole, and then you pour. Well, it's an analog flush. Analog everything. Baby.
Analog everything.
Analog flush, analog bidet.
We called it low comet. There's high comet and low comet. High comet was a regular toilet. Low is just like, I get down and squat.
Oh my god,
man.
You know, it's when I was always go back and visit. You know, we'd go to our like aunt or uncle's like new house where they'd live to go visit the family or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, Western or Eastern toilet? Because I like got used to sitting on the fucking shitter. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, like my mom would always be like, oh, we'll go to the store and grab toilet paper and stuff because the experience was so different. I mean, I grew up with an outhouse and like squatting and shitting in the hole. Yeah, every time I would go back and visit, squatty shitter.
Squatty shitter.
At my grandma's house, they would, for a long time, if someone is using the Western, like if my fucking dad was like having a, level 9 blowout in the Western, I'd have to go fucking use the Eastern toilet outside, dude. Be like, God damn it. Can I get the broom so I can fucking get the cobwebs down? Because it's outside.
The cockroaches.
Yeah, it's like fucking 98 degrees on a cold day in South India. I fucking open the thing. It's a fucking whole ecosystem in there. The fucking family is a joint family of spiders living in there. 5 different species. You have to fucking kill all of them. Squat in that shit. You'd be like, oh shit, I forgot the toilet paper.
Oh man.
And so you had the analog bidet.
Analog bidet.
So I've been through the ringer with that shit.
You may have coined the term just now as well.
What, the analog bidet?
The analog bidet.
Dude, the OG.
Man. I'm going to roll us back into music following an incredible level 9 poop conversation.
Honestly, yeah. I knew we were going to get
It's funny how like brown people, we're so open in talking about digestion. Like,
right.
It's like so easy for us. And
loose motion.
Loose motion?
Yeah, that's what fucking...
Can you explain that to everybody really quick?
Until I learned what diarrhea was fucking loose motion. Yeah.
We nailed it with that one. Nailed it with that one. Shit. But I want to talk about a song... I don't know. Are you annoyed by hearing about this song? Because this is a song that I think a lot of people are introduced to you by.
Let's chill. What, Sex or Drugs?
Yes, sir. You got it right.
Let's run it.
Awesome. Let's run it. It's called Sex and Drugs.
Woo!
Woo! What do we do? Have sex. When do we do it? When we do drugs.
Let me get a brouhaha.
Sir.
Yeah. Can I get Shane, who's dressed like a cartoon burglar, to come get me this beer?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, are you going to commit fucking...
You can talk. Yeah. I can't hear it quite yet.
There we go. Go. Let's go, dude.
Oh, that's the man right there.
Oh, that's a good pour. Look at this Seattle pour right now. Wow.
You gotta say what up to the camera, though, because we gotta give you that shout out.
Go.
Beautiful.
You can't actually tell by looking at him, but that's a Chinese man.
Awesome. Can you actually run that from the top, man? I appreciate you. There you go. So yeah, Sex and Drugs. You kind of just jump straight into the hook. Where did it start? What was the story behind that song?
I just made, it was actually, it's so interesting because everyone who kind of was like every time I make a new song, I email the demo to like everyone I work in music with. I'm like, what do you think of this? Like, be honest. And usually when people bite, I'm like, oh yeah, this shit's gonna slap. No one bit, dude. I literally sent it to like one of my friends that I used to write with, and he was like, it's okay. He passed on it, blah, blah, blah. I sent it to Harry. Harry was like, this is great. I'll write a verse on it. And then actually after he wrote his verse, I fucking changed the hook to that. And then there was like a bridge in it, which was really shitty. Changed that out. And then it was just like a song that we thought was going to be okay.
Yeah. And it was just fun. And the next thing you know, it blew up in a way, right? What was that feeling like for you when you sing it kind of run up the numbers?
I don't know why it was blowing up.
I mean,
people were like, you must have known, because this song is such a vibe. And at the time, I was just like, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it. I just thought it was cool. But it really went crazy on SoundCloud. That's what it was. Really? This was during the blog era.
Yeah.
There's a blog titled thissongissick.com.
Oh, really?
And they picked it up for a premiere on SoundCloud and on their SoundCloud page. And that really boosted the fuck out of it.
Wow. And were you reaching out to those blogs, or did that just happen organically?
Yeah. Cold emailing.
Wow. And I mean, that's a part of the grind as an artist, right? Is like, you're making this song, but how do you get it out there?
I mean, and really the threshold at the time was like pretty high still for like cold emailing, but a lot of people didn't get a lot of stuff right? Like you wouldn't like think to go read the blog, look at the name of the person who posted the latest fucking song that was popping off, go follow them on Twitter, DM them and be like, hey, I sent you an email just last week. I'm just checking in if this is okay, blah, blah. Not everyone was doing all of that fucking little disjointed, like annoying ass shit. I had time on my hands. I was just like, I'm going to do all this annoying ass little fucking shit.
Yeah.
And like see if I can actually make a connection here and there.
Yeah. And so this is like you understanding the whole kind of like the beginnings of the music industry, right? Is like understanding that it's not just creating the song, but distributing the song, making sure it gets in everyone's ears. Were you were doing that independently? Did you have a manager at that point in time, or?
No, not really.
Really?
During the Marbled era, I did. I had a manager. He was cool. We're not working together anymore. I also did have a distribution label that was kind of licensing out the album and the project.
Yeah.
So they also helped with some stuff. My A&R was helping with a lot of stuff. So he was great at the time. But yeah, it was still very grassroots. You know, I still had to create. I made the artwork for that song and for the album. I did the mix and the master on that song.
Yeah.
I recorded. I had other people record the horns on that. It was literally, I did fucking everything.
Yeah. And so, what point of your career, like, okay, I need to like level up the network outside of just yourself, right?
Literally, like maybe last year.
Really?
Yeah. I do have a new manager now, so he's been great. And at some point, we got a booking agent in like 2017, 2018. So that was great.
And did you have a moment where you realized that? How'd you come around to that moment?
I think my new manager, Eric. We're going to a steakhouse after this with this kid who Kanye West is not a big fan of.
Really?
No, because he's Jewish.
No,
it's fine. But Eric's great. He told me to expand my network and, you know, go hire other people to do stuff, get it off your back, and then like try to focus on just.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a smart decision to kind of let go of some of that control, you know.
Was that something that was hard for you at first?
Yeah, very difficult.
And
I don't like the way other people do things a lot of the time. But then I realized it was just because it wasn't me doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
And so once you let go, I've been seeing you do other things, right? It's like taking control of like Discord communities, having your own podcast, streaming, like jump into whatever one that's like.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Jump into what like makes you, like how you got into those.
The Discord brings me joy.
Really?
Originally started with DJ / other friend who's sitting over there. His name's Shane. He's now a full-time PUBG streamer.
Let's go.
Yeah, he plays PUBG. For which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's like if Fortnite was real. Well, it's like a grown-up version of Fortnite, and it's real. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, it is very like difficult. It is very difficult to play that game. Like it's real shit. And Shane plays it pretty well. Now he's like full-time Twitch streamer. And so we started that Discord together. It's like a joint Discord. Like this could be the Abhi the Nomad / Shane Doe Discord. And, you know, he was streaming on Twitch and stuff. And I started streaming on Twitch. And I was like, let's make this a hub for all my fans.
Yeah.
Who can like come here and talk about common interests or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's just become so much more like I'm friends with these kids. Like they're, you know, they pull up to shows. I go have, some of them like, you know, are around the Texas area and like we hang out sometimes.
Is there someone or a Discord like member of the group that like that has a specific like spot for you that like is memorable for you?
Yeah, shout out to this kid Unch. He fucking got me a 15% discount on a $1,900 chair.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How'd you end up buying a $1,900 chair?
With rap money, motherfucker. Gang gang.
That's hard. And so he was on your Discord just talking about music and
yeah. And you know, he came to a couple shows and then I knew who he was at that point.
Wow.
Because he was like, hey, I'm from the Discord. Hey, I'm from the Discord, blah, blah. So now I know who the kid is. I have his number and everything.
Wow.
But then I was near where he lives in Austin, Texas, checking out this chair. And he was like, oh, like, do you mind, are you free to, like, you want to grab lunch or whatever? So we went and grabbed lunch. And then we went to the chair store, which sounds ridiculous in 2022. We were at the chair store, though, and it was a nice-ass fucking chair. Dude.
Wow.
And then, yeah, he was like, I work at Visa, so I could get you a fucking discount.
Visa gets discounts on chair stores?
I don't know. It's like a fucking designer chair. It's by Herman Miller. Whenever you know something is just some dude's name, it's going to be expensive.
It's going to be expensive as fuck. Has your fashion been informed by that at all? Like,
honestly, here's what I have to say about fashion. I was at a club last night. There were way too many fake Balenciaga shirts in New York. Okay, we can tell. We can tell it's not fucking real.
Didn't you get a lot of that in Texas too? or different. Maybe not Austin, but other parts of Texas is a lot of like.
Definitely not in Austin.
Yeah.
Probably in like Houston.
Yeah.
Or like Dallas or something.
Where is your fashion derived from? Where does it begin?
Honestly, now it's just trying not to look shitty.
Really?
And I think that's like, yeah, because it's laundry day and I'm on tour.
Mm-hmm.
None of the laundromats were open on Sunday. And none of the other shit was open in DC. None of the other shit was open in DC when I was there, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I just teleported.
Mm-hmm. Touring is a pretty stinky gig too, right?
Yeah. It's pretty fucking stinky.
Just dudes in a van, traveling the country.
Dudes in a van. Shout out to every person who thinks that Indians are smelly because they don't use deodorant or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that tweet?
No, what's the tweet?
Oh my God. It was the most insane shit I've ever fucking read in my life. But when I read that, I was like, oh my God, this fucking joke is still like running around that like desis are smelly.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
dude.
I grew
it was
up
like
with
the most insane tweet I've read. Okay, I will tell you, I'll say it. And just know, I did not fucking tweet this, okay? Someone else obviously tweeted this. Someone tweeted, if Jeffrey Dahmer was Indian, no one would have questioned the smell.
I don't know. That's
yeah, and it had 56,000 likes on Twitter in August of 2022.
Holy shit.
Yeah, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know who's perpetrating these smells or like how many like Indian dudes you're meeting that like
that's high level racism.
But I don't know. Rajat, you look good. You have nice shoes on. You definitely don't smell bad.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I definitely don't smell like shit. And I just spent 48 hours in a fucking van.
Yeah. I also want to jump into one other song. And this is the way you close out the album. It's called Circle.
Let's go. I love this song.
Yeah. It's a very beautiful song. And I think it's in many ways.
I feel like it's the most Abhi the Nomad song.
But in this song, I think it displays a lot more of like, I think the more emotional, vulnerable side of yourself.
Yeah.
Is that something you tap into very often? You feel like, or is that something you?
I definitely do. I don't know. I feel like it's really difficult to tap into this type of emotion because this is not depression and this is not, suicide or anything extreme. It's actually melancholy and gloom. Really? And like, that's kind of what this is going to sound sad, but that's what I kind of live like. Like I'm just honestly in a constant state of gray. There are euphoric moments when I'm on tour and like, validating moments and stuff. But this is just like a constant state sort of like emotion that I try to tap into. And it's very difficult. Very few songs can capture that. I think even in popular music, very few songs can capture that where it's like, damn, like, I'm okay, but like, there's some shit there.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what this song is supposed to be. And it's also supposed to be something that feels endless, like an endless gloom, which I mean it in a less negative way than it comes across. It's called Circle, and it's the last song on the album, and it's the same key as Extra Life, the first song on the album. So when it ends, actually, it loops perfectly into the whole album, just looping forever.
Oh, wow. So that makes sense, right? It's like the beginning of the album starts with like, you know what? I'm going to start again. I can do this again. I have an extra life.
Yeah, I have an extra life. And then you die at the end.
And you die at the end. Wow, that's interesting. And
or you almost die at the end, right?
And then you find your extra life.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so when you delve into that, I think that's like very human, right? It's like you can't really chase happiness. It's something. Emotions are something you experience, and I think
they are. And I think a lot of music and a lot of media kind of tries to really black and white emotion. Tries to take it to the extremes where it's like, Pharrell's "I'm Happy" or whatever, which is a bad song, guys. Let it go. I love Pharrell. It's a fucking bad song. It's like either that or like fucking like, oh, like if I'm not with you, I'll fucking jump in front of a train or whatever. There's like a middle ground. Like the human experience is like, something that can't be aptly put into words, but I'd like to try.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like all the time. And this shit isn't like a joke to me. Like, when I'm making music, it's like, I really fucking feel like this right now.
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
And I like to put that in words and stuff. And it's very difficult with songs like this.
Yeah, of course. Is it being vulnerable like this? Is there something about you that maybe scares you a little bit, or is it something that you
no, it's
welcome?
terrifying. Are you kidding me? Like, this is funny. Literally, like a week ago, this fucking motherfucker on the couch, Harrison, called me on the phone, and he was playing like a phone prank with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Where he had these prompts that his girlfriend would say that he had to say to me on the phone, and he was like, and so she would just like say random shit that he had to say to me. She was commanding the whole script of the phone call. And he was like, "I love you, man," and I started freaking out.
Really?
I was like, "What is wrong right now?" Because my emotional connection with people starts and ends when I'm drinking, and like in our everyday life, like we don't fucking talk about it. I never just hit people up like, "How's it going, man? Yeah, I just want to check in on you, see how you're doing mentally, you know, like whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do that.
Is that something that you are trying to come around to, or something you just
No,
understand?
I'm very comfortable in my sort of just like walled up state. I kind of like it because then it allows me to pour most of it into music. And that's where I'd like it to live.
Yeah.
You know, outside of therapy, I do go to therapy. I think that is important. So I do have a private outlet for that.
Yeah.
But I also have a public outlet.
And so you take care of these things privately, but publicly it's a space where those pain, that emotions, whatever it may be, the grayness can live in a way that's not so gray.
It's contained.
It's contained.
It's contained, right?
Yeah.
And it's articulated in the way that you can enjoy it as well and maybe even relate to it. But what I don't want to do is trauma dump on my friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have people who have done that to me before, and it's very uncomfortable because it's like clearly you haven't processed this or whatever. And that's not to shame them at all. Most people can't afford therapy. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But as far as what I can control, I can do all that stuff. I can afford therapy. I can afford to put my honest emotions in songs. So I'm not gonna, you know, trauma dump on people or take shit out or project shit or like be insecure about shit and not talk about it. So I have both of those outlets, which is great. So as far as like emotionally connecting with people on like a personal level, kind of rare.
Yeah.
You know? And it's only there and it only exists there when I feel like it deserves that. It deserves for me to push for that specifically.
Because there's a level of vulnerability that you have to tap into. And once it's there, it's like, okay, this is special.
This is special. Then it's like, I really respect this person to be open enough with them. Right?
Well, that's incredible. And, you know, that's one thing, those conversations, right, is the narrative is changing in generations, or like before those conversations didn't exist. And now it's like, yo, bro, like, I love you, dude, but you're trauma dumping right now. Like, maybe you should just like feel it out. And like, cause like, I'm not well equipped to tell you, you know, what to do. I'm just as lost and confused as
it's
you.
Like, Jason, you're going through a divorce, but like, dude, I'm like wasted and like smoking a Marlboro Light. Like, I don't know what you want me to fucking do about this. Like, it's just not, some scenarios aren't the right, you know, scenarios to do that. I think a lot of people are starting to figure that out now. And that's also unhealthy mentally to maybe overexpress.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there is once again, here we hit the gray area. You know, there's a middle ground to all of this. You don't have to be extremely open. I don't need to know that you're, you know, if I ask you how you're doing, I do expect an NPC answer from you.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're like the homie, I don't expect you to be like, actually, man, I'm really down in the dumps these days. Because I don't actually generally care.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's like part of culture just to ask, and now you're like,
what it is. It's a societal norm, right? Like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, not in that way. Like, if it was dire, like, sure, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But like, if it's just like you're just like having a bad week or whatever, it's like fucking deal with it, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. Go to therapy.
Yeah, boo, dude.
Or don't. Or like write a song about it. I don't know. Figure it out. Like, I'm almost 30. Like, I don't have time for.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. I have time for my homies. That's about it.
Well, my friend, we're coming to the close, and I just want to let you know, like, you may be versus the universe, but the universe is like very happy to have you.
Is it?
Yes, man.
Recent events on the tour have maybe argued otherwise, but it's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
this one time, honestly, our drummer is like the greatest guy in the world. I love him to death, and one day I'm gonna give him all the vitamin D milk he wants. But at the end of the first leg, Garrett flew home to Los Angeles with the van key in his pocket.
Oh,
so that wasn't great.
Holy shit.
That felt like a very universe against me moment.
That's definitely a universe against you moment. But you're here. You're in New York.
We made it.
We made it. We made it.
Made it.
We made it. Do you have that's your camera right there. You got anything to say before we go?
Fucking shout out to all the brown musicians out there. Dua Lipa's not one of them, dude. I just realized. What am I doing? What am I doing, dude? No, shout out to all my brown homies and all the brown musicians out there. Shout out to Rajid.
Thank you for hopping on board.
Good, oh my God, wait, hold on. Go listen to my music. Oh. What the fuck? I don't know. This is going on TikTok, right?
Yeah, all of it's on TikTok, YouTube.
TikTok is going to be like, who is this fucking guy? And then they're going to be like, oh my God, he had that one hit, then he fell off. And you know what? Whatever you think in your heart about me, you're right.
Well, I would beg to differ. Stream Abhi vs. Universe. He's on tour right now. Make sure to catch the last dates. Thanks again for coming, my friend.
It's love and peace, man.
Peace.
Actually, it's not. Fuck the haters.
Life's a bitch, a rude motherfucker. Ice light to switch the view. I need a one up. My light is dim. I like to split. The nighttime is lit. I ride it to the sun up. Yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a year. Say I won't stay relevant near. Like it won't fly high enough. Some bad weather is near. But they all got elephant ears. Here, listen up. Yeah, they call me ATM. 5 million on the screen, hit the ATM. Say cheese for the picture. With the gentlemen and ladies. My lady could be winning AVNs. I'm on couches. Fucking with the AB buttons. Or maybe making rhythms, innovating houses. I take an L every once.